In Chinese culture, they love making lists of legendary warriors. So you have the 10 Tigers of Canton.
10 Tigers of Kwantung in a ferocious and spectacular battle against Manchu mercenaries.
You have the 5 Elders of Shaolin who escaped the burning of the Shaolin Temple and went on to spread Kung Fu in the south of China. You have the Furious 5 who battled Tai Lung. Okay, maybe that one was fictional. And you have the 5 Tiger Generals of Shu, or Wuhu Jiang. These ones were real. They were 5 legendary warriors from the Shu state in the Three Kingdoms period, and they have gone down in history for their heroic acts. So, who were the 5 Tiger Generals? In the Three Kingdoms period, or 三国时代, there were 3 states battling for control in the power vacuum left as the Han Dynasty fell apart. These states were Wei in the north, established by the warlord Cao Cao. You had Shu, or Shu Han, in the south, established by Liu Bei. And you had Wu in the east, established by Sun Quan. Now, the 5 Tiger Generals were the fiercest, most capable warriors under Liu Bei in the Shu state. These 5 guys were real historical characters, but they were further fictionalized in the book Romance of the Three Kingdoms, 三国演义, one of China's 4 classic novels. Let's go through them one by one. First, we have Guan Yu. So Guan Yu served under both Liu Bei and Cao Cao. At the end of the Han Dynasty, as it was falling apart and warlords were starting to fight amongst themselves, Guan Yu made a name for himself fighting for Cao Cao at the Battle of Bo-Ma, or Bo-Ma Zhizhan, where he killed enemy general Yan Liang by beheading him. It was after this that Guan Yu left Cao Cao to fight for Liu Bei and fought in many glorious battles. His signature weapon is the Qinglong Yanyue Dao, or Green Dragon Crescent Knife. And Guan Yu was incredibly tough. There's an account in the history of the Three Kingdoms that talks about him being shot by an arrow in his arm and experiencing pain even after the injury had healed. He asked a doctor about it, and the doctor says, "There was poison in the arrow tip. The poison has gone into your bone. We have to cut open your arm and operate. Scrape your bone to get rid of the poison. After that, this suffering will be gone." Guan Yu thus extended his arm and let the doctor slit it open. Then Guan Yu invited many generals to gather and eat and drink. The blood from his arm flowed, being collected in a container. Meanwhile, Guan Yu feasted on roasted meats and drank wine, chatting and laughing as if nothing was happening. Yeah, he was a hardcore dude.
将军，这疼痛难以承受啊！
我并非世间俗子。
何惧疼痛?
And that was in a history book, not the fictional version, okay? That's the real guy. He's often depicted as having a red face in artworks, in Chinese opera, and in TV shows. I'm not really sure how red he actually was. Maybe he was just tanned, you know, and people over the centuries exaggerated it. There is another thing that happened in the centuries to follow the Three Kingdoms period, and that was that he became deified and worshipped like a god in Chinese folk religion, where he's often referred to as Guangong. You will find shrines to him all over Asia. Right, next of the 5 Tiger Generals is Zhang Fei. Zhang Fei is also a warrior who joined Liu Bei early on. Zhang Fei, Liu Bei, and Guan Yu became like brothers. Actually, in the book Romance of the Three Kingdoms, they do indeed become sworn brothers right at the beginning. Zhang Fei is an incredibly formidable warrior who is able to take on entire battalions of soldiers on his own, even able to take out 2 horses at a time with a WWE-style body slam. And his personality was incredibly fiery.
好字好字。
He's normally depicted with this unkempt beard. This is a painting in the Summer Palace in Beijing, and this is his Peking opera costume. Look at that massive beard. He fought for Liu Bei in the Battle of the Red Cliffs and many other battles. At the Battle of Changban, he guarded the bridge to Liu Bei's camp after Zhao Yun crossed over after a daring rescue behind enemy lines. The enemy were too scared to even come near him. But Zhang Fei's fearsome nature got the better of him in the end. He was often cruel to his own men, and in the end, he was assassinated by 2 of his subordinates. Now, we just mentioned another warrior that came back from a daring mission, and that is our next Tiger General, Zhao Yun. Now, Zhao Yun was another very capable general under Liu Bei, best known for his daring rescue of Liu Bei's son. Basically, what happened was he went behind enemy lines and battled Cao Cao's troops on his own in order to rescue Liu Bei's wife and son. His wife didn't make it, but Zhao Yun wrapped the baby boy around his body and charged through the enemy lines on his white horse, taking out dozens of men on his own. Somehow, the baby boy survived and he crossed the bridge guarded by Zhang Fei, and the baby was reunited with his father. Now, we are going to come out with a whole video on the story of Zhao Yun soon, so I won't say too much more. If you're watching this in the future, do look out for a link to the Zhao Yun video on the end screen of this video. Our next Tiger General is Ma Chao. Towards the end of the Han Dynasty, Ma Chao was involved in uprisings against the Han government, of which Cao Cao was still a part of. He engaged Cao Cao at the Battle of Tong Pass and wanted to directly fight Cao Cao himself.
曹贼，你只会逞口舌之力，敢与我决斗吗？
But then Cao Cao's general Xu Chu jumps in.
儿，你可识得我敲进许褚吗？
In Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Ma then fights Xu Chu and some other of Cao Cao's generals. But the Battle of Tong Pass ends up unsuccessful for Ma Chao. However, he counterattacks and conquers a whole province. After this, the last emperor of the Han Dynasty issues an imperial decree to execute Ma's family, which Cao Cao carries out. Ma Chao would later write that over 200 members of his family were killed by Cao Cao. After this, Ma Chao joins Liu Bei and serves as a general in his army. When Ma Chao joined, it caused some conflict between him, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei. Here's one of the incidents from Sanguo Zhi. Because when Ma Chao saw Liu Bei, he directly called him by his name, Guan Yu was angry and wanted Liu Bei to have him killed. Liu Bei said, "He was so poor when he came to us, why are you so angry? I kill him just because he calls me by name? How can I explain myself to the world?" Now, Ma Chao was known for his incredible strength, and he was admired by even other generals. Guan Yu asked Zhuge Liang in a letter who would compete with Ma Chao. Zhuge Liang replies that Ma Chao was even a match with Zhang Fei, but was no match for his famous beard. Alright, now let's move on to our fifth and final Tiger General of the Three Kingdoms period, Huang Zhong. Huang Zhong was notably older than the other Tiger generals during the time when they were all active in sort of the lead up to 200 AD and the real start of the Three Kingdoms period. Despite being around 70 years old at the time, he supposedly still had the strength of a young man. Here he is pulling back two bows until they break. His biggest achievement was a victory at the Battle of Dingjun. He had to convince Liu Bei to allow him to go and fight the battle. Because of his age, Liu Bei was reluctant. Here is a painting of that scene at the Summer Palace in Beijing. But in the end, Liu Bei did let him go, and Huang Zhong killed the enemy general and won the battle for Liu Bei. In the book Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the fictional Huang Zhong is known for his skills in archery. He died in the year 220 AD, which was actually the official start of the Three Kingdoms period. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is the video for today. We'll have another one on the heroic rescue story of Zhao Yun. If you're watching this in the future, it may already be on screen now, so do click on it if you want to check it out. Otherwise, we might put something else there for you to check out. Otherwise, please subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.